Welcome to our May Matt Chat. We have some exciting things that are coming hopefully before the end of this month. So we'll discuss that a little bit and then we'll get into our regular programming. We're joining you from a May gray here in San Diego today. I don't know if the sun ever popped out yesterday, but typical for this time of year.
Popped out a little bit for me at like 3 and then was like, nah, just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to get started. So, a couple things. One is I have been doing conversations with clients, and I typically do these conversations every 3 to 5 years where I interview clients about their expectations, whether we've been meeting their expectations, anything they wish we would do. So, some of you I may do that with this year, some of you I may do that with in future years. So, be prepared for those conversations. But what it does is it allows us to get an idea as markets change, as expectation changes, as technology changes. How can we make sure we're doing what is most appropriate for you as a client? So, as kind of a teaser to some of the things that I've learned in those conversations, one is that people would like to have a newsletter. So we are going to be starting a newsletter. It will be a digital newsletter and it'll come out every 2 weeks or so. So we'll have links to this conversation. We'll have links to our Ask Matt a questions that we're doing twice a week. We'll have different articles and information about what's going on, including some of the things that we may change along the way based on those conversations. So keep an eye out for that. We're currently just creating the form itself, and I'm hoping we'll get the first one out before the end of the month. Okay, into our regularly scheduled programming. So we're on session 5 of our 7-month session, and this is the importance of being on the right side of interest rates. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time or are watching this video, you can go back to January to start the entire series where we talk about valuation. And in February, we did high value investing. In March, we did low value investing. In April, we did raising the floor. And then today, being on the right side of interest rates. So let's jump on in. So I think we're all aware of the value of earning interest rates and potentially the value of earning interest rates that are higher than the interest rates you're paying. So there's certain things where we can't avoid paying interest rates, having a mortgage, especially early on in our working lives, if you want to own a home, but making sure that your investments and the interest that you're earning are exceeding the interest that you're paying. So when you're earning interest through investments, savings, or business ownership, it works for you. Obviously, when you're paying it, credit cards in particular are one of the worst interest rates you can possibly pay because it just makes the things you buy. For example, if you're buying a candy bar and you're paying a 29% interest on it, that seems like a ridiculous thing to do. So we're seeing a lot of folks are getting on that cycle where they pay off their credit card each month. There's probably not a lot of you that carry a balance beyond the end of the month. So kudos there. For those of you that do, it's really important that we figure out a way to get that paid off each month. So one of my favorite authors and favorite books is Robert Kiyosaki and his cash flow quadrant book. And to kind of describe the quadrant, basically you have employee and self-employed, employee over self-employed, and then business owner and investor on opposite quadrants. Employee is someone who earns wages and basically they're trading their time for money. A self-employed person basically owns their job. They're paying themselves for their time and may have some perks to owning the business, but the results are very much tied to the hours that they work. On the other side of the quadrant, you have the business owner, and they earn money through the systems of the business, through employees generating income. And then you have the investor, who's not involved in the business, but actually benefits from the business just doing what it's supposed to do, which is make money. With the investors being retired, you're relying on your investments to continue to earn interest and earn interest, hopefully above and beyond the amount that you're spending. So you can continue to grow and outpace inflation. So usually it's a cycle where you go employee and maybe you go to self-employed and then you go to business owner and then investor. Sometimes you'll skip from employee to just investor, which a lot of you have done in your retirement. So why this matters in your financial plan is to reduce or eliminate your high cost interest rates. Again, mortgages don't necessarily fall into this category, but a lot of times, for example, if you're self-employed or a business owner, you may take out business loans to expand the business and things like that. So making sure that the revenue that you're generating off that loan far exceeds the interest that you're paying on it. Move your financial life toward the right side of the quadrant, getting again to that investor category, eliminating those debts. So here's a simple example. If you're carrying a credit card balance with a 20% APR, which is pretty standard these days, you're earning 0% interest. And each month that you carry that balance, your wealth declines if you're earning or making less than what you're paying. And this is unfortunately where close to 50% of the US population is. They're making decent money, but their net worth is going down every month because these balances continue to increase. In fact, I want to say last month we hit all-time records for credit card debt. And we're starting to see defaults on credit cards, mortgages, auto loans creep up. Scenario 2, paying mortgage, but not investing. So if you're paying your 5%, you will continue to get growth based on the value of your home and based on paying down the interest and a little bit of the principal. And so you do continue to move forward, but it's a much slower process than if you're doing both at the same time. And what you want to do in scenario 3 here is make sure that you're earning an interest that exceeds the interest that you're paying. Now, there's different calculations in there. So, for example, on a mortgage, you have the interest deduction. So it doesn't directly need to be a higher interest rate that you're earning because you do have that slight advantage. But as long as you have a higher interest rate that you're earning, you want to continue to save money and have that grow till eventually you have enough, if not more, to just pay off the loan if you ever needed to. So you have that ability to do it. And then finally, on scenario 4, having zero debt. I'm actually hearing scenarios where folks are not only paying off their mortgages, but some folks are selling their homes, and rather than buying a new one, they're renting. They're renting for about half the price of what they were paying for their mortgage. And now someone else has to fix the toilet and repair the roof and do those sorts of things. And now you've increased the amount of income or cash flow that you have each month above your expenses, and you've reduced your responsibilities. It's counterintuitive to what we've been taught our entire lives, but there are a lot of people moving in that direction. And it's with the cost of housing and everything, it may make financial sense for some folks, especially in retirement. So it's really important that if you have debt, or even if you don't, that you continue to earn interest that exceeds the debt that you have. And that's kind of it for today. So I think it's Einstein said that compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And so that's what's really important. You may earn 9% this year, but then you earn 9% on the 9% you earned, and it just compounds and grows. And as inflation goes up, we want to make sure that we're earning income above and beyond that interest rate. Okay, so today we have a live Ask Matt a Question at 3:45. I'd love to see anybody that's available come. Otherwise, we do record all of these. And I did want to add one more thing, a hot topic that I'm seeing a little bit of lately with Trump in China and those meetings happening over the next few days. Trump has brought with him several CEOs from major corporations, including Apple and Tesla and Nvidia. And there is a potential to have this be a very important meeting. Number one, to reduce tensions between the US and China, potentially to work back channels to reduce the tensions in Iran, with China being the number one purchaser of their oil, and then also to increase trade between China and the US. So big implications there. Catherine, I see you have a question.
How do you access the 3:45 meeting?
Tracy will send you an email.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep, you got that right, Tracy?
I did.
Okay.
I've been watching your videos on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Of course. I hope you guys enjoy them, and I hope they add some value, if not some entertainment. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.